Welcome back to the World Games, the mixed ultimate flying disc bronze medal match for you right here from Wroclaw in Poland. The Warsaw Fields host this one. Australia play Canada for that third place. Tom Stiles and Hannah Pendlebury with you for this one. And it has been raining in Poland.
Yes, it has. At the end of our last game that we covered, basically the weather just completely turned on us. We saw the wind picking up, causing absolute havoc with the inflatables on the pitch. The staff doing an excellent job to manage those and keep them from flying off into the distance. And a heck of a lot of rain has fallen on this already quite slippery pitch by virtue of being hard rather than wet. But it will be interesting to see how that changes the surface of play. Tom, how do you think it's going to affect the players?
Well, they will have had a big break in play. There was actually a game cancelled, the USA versus Poland game. It was academic that the Poles were always going to finish in 6th place, and the USA were always going to finish in 2nd place in the pool. But they were both looking forward to that last game in front of the home crowd for the Polish side. That game was removed from the schedule to save the field. No play possible during the storm. So these players will be a little bit shaken up maybe. They've played on the same field in the same conditions all week, and now they've got to adjust strategy. They're not going to have as much friction. They're not going to have as much grip on that field.
Yes, as we're talking about the hard and quite dry surface with a lot of long cleat patterns on the boots of these players, sort of sliding around when they're cutting with full force and full vigour on this field. It will be interesting to see if the surface water causes any more issues. The disc, of course, getting a little bit wet, slipping out of players' hands perhaps. It's going to be really interesting to see how these two teams can adapt, having played in really, frankly, quite beautiful conditions this morning, certainly for that Australia game. Just sunshine and lovely, a little bit of gentle wind. It seems like the wind from the storm has now passed, which will be of great relief. Obviously, in flying disc sport, wind can impact really heavily on the game and how it's played. But certainly both teams will have been well equipped with the throws to deal with that. If we had seen it, and if it does pick up, I don't think it should be fine, but certainly will cause a bit of issue adjusting.
Apart from the slippery surface on the field, it's pretty much perfect conditions for Ultimate. There's no sunshine, so players won't get the sun in their eyes. We see Catherine Hui, Chewy as she's known to her Vancouver teammates, really enjoying the atmosphere down on the sideline. This bronze medal match. These teams have worked so hard over the last 2 years as a squad, preparing since October.
Indeed, but as you say, they're lovely conditions for a game of ultimate frisbee here in Poland. Certainly will be a joy for these teams to take the world stage and fight it out. For this is the other two teams will be playing a bit later are guaranteed to go home with a little bit of bling around their necks. But between these two teams, it's a dogfight for that little bit of metal that means so much to these players, having prepped for such a long time. Now they're here, it's their chance to go and grab it, take it, see who comes out on top. I'm so excited for this game.
Rachel Mowens in the 42 shirt, leading the action. The Canadian team said their ambition here was to come and play hard, but never without a smile on their face. They wanted to enjoy this experience. The word they had in mind throughout all of their training was plaisir, a French word for fun.
Plaisir, ouais.
You can certainly see they were having plenty of that. And here's the Australian line, the Aussie Crocs. All of the world teams from the Australian Ultimate Circuit have a name of a distinctive Australian animal. See Rebecca Brereton and Mark Evans running down there, taking the slaps of the team, including coach Dan Rule. There's Kat Phillips, has made a strong case for being the strongest female player at the tournament. Incredible stats she's clocked up this week.
Yeah, really impressive player, I think. What was her overall total this weekend so far?
Well, she's had 6 assists, 7 scores, so 13 in total. Just 2 behind Mark Evans on the total front. He's had 8 assists and 7 scores coming into this game.
Indeed, and we also saw a little bit of a lesser use of Kat Phillips in the earlier game that the Australians did so well in against Colombia this morning. Really fantastic form from them. If they can retain that into this bronze match, we'll certainly have a game on our hands against this very capable Canadian side with their very interesting slap form we're now seeing. I'm not entirely sure what exactly this is supposed to be, but either way, it's a visual spectacle.
Mark Lloyd and Catherine Hui, Brendan Wong and coach Scott Hasty running down the field. Both these teams in action this morning. Australia, as Hannah was mentioning, played a fantastic game against Colombia. I think the best form we've seen the Australian team in.
Definitely, they have peaked at exactly the right moment in this tournament, for sure.
That game against Colombia was academic. No,
it wasn't academic.
It wasn't academic to the 2 teams involved, but it did have an impact elsewhere in the pool, didn't it? So the Colombians with only 4 wins, and the Australians guaranteeing themselves that place outside of the 3-way tie, which would have happened if they'd lost it. And it also meant that Canada had to beat Japan in their last game of the day, as their last pool match, to guarantee their place in this bronze medal game.
Indeed, and they cemented that win over the Japanese team. Japan, as we say, struggled with a little bit of consistency throughout this tournament, sort of keeping those, when they're firing on all cylinders, it looked really, really good. But Canada showing their true class in that final placement game, preliminary round game against the Japanese side. I honestly think they have much more to give. I would like to see them really hit that 6th gear, which I know that this team definitely has, looking at the roster on this field today. So hopefully we can see the Aussies push them to the limit, see some really, really fantastic play from both sides.
Yeah, for the Canadians, watch out for big plays from Catherine Hui, who has impressed us with her speed in the end zone, but also her disc skills. He has 8 assists and 8 scores, a total of 16 assist points altogether, matched only by Tim Sang, who has 9 assists and 7 scores. And look out for incredible performances from Jeff Powell, who's just proved what a rock on defense he has been, but also getting 2 of some of the most amazing layout grabs in the end zone.
Yes,
really
indeed,
impressive.
Tom. There was one particularly notable one that I imagine will be making highlight reels left, right and centre following this tournament. Full extension layout grab, just beautiful for the score. Really, really nice to see.
Yeah, Jeff Powell at full speed is quite a sight. The man is built solidly, has a reputation as an intensive defence player. Now, this sport, if you've never seen ultimate flying disc play before, it's a self-officiated sport. There's no referees.
Indeed, there are no referees. There are game advisors, which are currently being introduced on the pitch as we speak. These are the lovely people in the green shirts and black shorts. They will be observing this game and able to step in and offer a neutral opinion in perhaps hot-headed and tense situations to just give a little bit of perspective, make sure that everyone has good information and can make the right decisions on pitch.
Sheila Quintos and Liam Kelly. And that's Greg Connolly on the far side of the field. And Oliver Brown passing the disc to Lachlan Wise from Australia, getting this game underway. Our game advisor team from all the way from around the world. In-stadium announcer launches that disc and announces the arrival of our bronze medal match from the World Games. And straight away looking to see which of the defensive strategies the Australians decide to adopt. They have a variety up their sleeves. We're also looking to see how slippery the pitch is after the rain. Big disc, hammer across the top to Wong. Canada making a steady start and advancing to the break mark. 10 metres outside, Wong. On the far side, marked by Wentworth and Stettner.
Yeah, nice to see Stettner on the pitch, absent from some of their earlier games, but back in force for this final day of play.
Took a heavy blow in earlier play. Tim Sang waiting for the stall to arrive. Players have got a stall count of 10 to release the disc, but if there's no defensive mark, then they can hang on to it for as long as they like. Lloyd to Underhill. Underhill exploring the options, just waving the disc around, see if he can draw the defence. Stettner just holding her ground. Mason now. Far corner is Hui. Can Underhill spot her on the far side of the field? He does. Sends that disc to Catherine Hui, who lurks and waits and scores for Canada. Clean hold to start this game. 1-0.
Yes, indeed. Catherine Hui there with her arms in the air. Pick me, pick me. And yes, indeed. Excellent option. Great vision there. Waiting in all of the space.
She has added to her stats, now leading the Canadian stat line.
Yes, indeed. And actually, that's a repeat from the earlier game we saw, Canada-Japan. In that game as well, the first point, Hui just in acres of space for that first score. Hopefully Australia will be more aware of where she is on the field going forward. Otherwise, she's going to do some serious damage in this game.
Dan Rule, the coach for Australia. We saw earlier in the tournament the Australians using, I think, 4 different defensive strategies and sometimes switching between 2 different zone defenses in the same point. So they have a wider variety of strategies available to them, seeing if they can nullify that Canadian offence. But right now we see first chance to see Kat Phillips exchanging discs downfield, using her athleticism to get free. And again, exchanging passes with Alex Prentice, and Prentice has the disc back in her hands now. Low, no question from Phillips. If you want me to catch the disc and it's near the floor, I'll just lay out and I'll stand back up and I'm back on again. Andrews, tallest player on this Australian line.
Yes, and the Aussies making great use of him in the end zone, judging from the stats. But really lovely to see the ladies driving this offence.
Andrews, 22-year-old from Sydney, passes forward to Dawson. Kat Phillips gets free with ease, accelerating away from Terry Whitehead for the score, levelling up. 2 clean holds, great offensive play, and the start of this bronze medal match. It's a game to 13. You'll see the clock is on. If one of the teams gets to 13, then that is the end of the game. They've won. But if the game doesn't proceed at a particularly high pace, we may get to a time cap. That's at 80 minutes. We'll take the top score at 80 minutes when the point is concluded and add 1 to that. And that is the target.
But yes, very clean frisbee from both sides at this point. Kat Phillips just galloping around the field there, looking pretty dominant.
Well, it was a wonderful matchup when Australia played against the USA. Kat Phillips and Sarah Griffith, 2 of the top women players in the world, having a rare old battle. I think it's probably quite rare for them to be marked up against players of that quality, and both of them relishing the opportunity.
Well, I don't know. There's certainly plenty of quality all over the field at this World Games.
Big disc going up. Mason is the target. Mason reads it beautifully. Floats it forward into the end zone. Hui adjusts and grabs. 2 points for Canada, both of them coming through Catherine Hui.
Racking up those stats, No, lovely to see that. Really just very, not, I don't want to say casual, but just such calm, composed ultimate from these women on this Canadian team. Just, you can tell that they've put the time in, training together, getting those touches. Yeah, just great stuff.
Yeah, we had got great separation. No need for anything with too much heat on it. Floats it into space.
Yeah, both teams, I think, possibly could find an extra gear on defense, maybe get up a bit more aggressive, get in between those. You know, it seems like everyone's getting very, very open quite easily, and these are top flight players, so that is their job. That's what they do all day, every day, is get open, get free. But it'd be nice to see a little bit more on the shoulder, pushing to that limit.
The mighty figure of Morgan Hibbert coils and then releases the pull, which has gone out of bounds. And Seb Barr, the 10 shirt for the Aussie Crocs, this World Games team. Only 14 players for each of the squads, 7 on the field at any one time. Blakely. Low release from Blakely into the hands of Phillips. Phillips sends it. Going to be over the head, difficult. Oh, there was a touch from the Canadian, but it still manages to make its way into the hands of Rosie Dawson.
Yeah, Grignon-Thomas there. Just getting a touch on the disc, but just not enough to stop the flight path into the hands of the Australian receiver. But great composure, stays on her feet, stays eyes on the disc, and just watches it safely into her hands.
A really difficult read for that disc. The target when you're throwing into a deep zone will be to put the disc where the receiver can get to it and the defender cannot. And that time it flew over the head of Rosie Dawson, having to look back and behind her. It was only a matter of luck that Jessie Grignon-Thomas couldn't get more than fingertips.
But that's exactly what we asked for, some intense D, and that was certainly as close as it gets in this game.
Tom Tullett, defensive masterclass against Colombia earlier. He was horizontal when he needed to be, had a spectacular game, 4 assists and a point at the end. Real emotional experience for him. Big disc from Canada now. Tullett underneath it, chasing, but there's no stopping Brendan Wong. Huge separation away from Tullett. And another clean hold.
Yes, indeed, this game continuing to go on serve in this bronze medal match, just as Wong reels that one in with just excellent speed, not even needing to really reach that far, just safely into the breadbasket. An diamond put from this Canadian team. But yeah, Wong, the 35-year-old coming out of Vancouver, Canada, having played in other World Championship events. Hobbies include biking and golfing. So a sportsman across many different disciplines, as are, to be honest, most of these level players. The hand-eye coordination, athleticism involved in ultimate, definitely allowing them to compete at pretty high level in other disciplines. Notably, Kat Phillips, we have spoken a lot about her, but she also plays Aussie rules football.
Professionally.
Indeed, she gets paid to do it, so certainly keeps her in excellent shape to be on the ultimate field too.
And she was saying in preparation for this tournament, she's pretty much taken her training program for Aussie rules. Same level of skill required, but a block. And the first turnover of the game. The disc from Seb Barr caught. Oh, and a turnover back again. Blakely getting a hand to the disc from Hibbert, but probably got a bit of the disc and a bit of Hibbert's arm at the same time. A foul call from Hibbert.
Yes, indeed. These, when you're trying to play defense in ultimate, using those hands to try and stop them from throwing, but Hibbert there with a lovely around backhand break. Can't be held back, can't be held off, slotting it straight into Andrew Carroll there.
Let's have a look at that replay. Using his reach gets down low below the arms of Blakely. You can see some of the water still standing on the pitch.
Indeed, haven't seen anybody lose their footing yet in this bronze medal match. But that's been a bit of a theme throughout this tournament, is intense cutters, intense trying to turn so hard to keep a level with the with your fellow defenders. Lots of people going to ground, but thankfully no nasty injuries thus far that we've seen, at least. So clearly everyone's been working very hard with their conditioning and strength work.
The Canadians started with application process to be part of this Canadian team. Tryouts initially, and then they cut down to a squad of 20, who are all part of Team Canada, but only 14 able to travel. That final cut process, one of the toughest jobs for any coach. Defence from the Canadians is causing the Aussies problems, going for that high release shot. Kat Phillips, high stall count, but manages to get the disc away to Alex Prentice before she dishes it to Blakely. But again, and the Canadians have transitioned.
Indeed, and we do see a little stumble there. Commentator's curse from Morgan Hibbert, and another stumble, goodness.
Blakely now in the power position. Just as he gets there, he slips, but adjusts, floats it deep, coming down underneath that. What a pressure, but Dawson rides out the challenge from the Canadian defender for a point for Australia.
Oh, Rosie May Dawson there, taking that one down under the weight of Jessie Greenop-Thomas. Over the bat, just both hands up, such excellent positioning there as Thomas goes to the floor behind. Valiant bid on the defense, but got to credit Dawson with that one. What a take.
And the big shot deep there from Blakely.
Yes, indeed. And so we have seen one break of score, but still pretty even in this game. Anyone's game at this stage. Canada looking to have a very slight glimmer of an edge over this Australian team, but both quite an evenly matched sides. Both like the same sort of similar style of play. Both strong women driving that offense at times, but certainly big discs coming out too.
Underhill gets this disc out to Rockcliffe and moving it now to Mason, who Tom Tullett I think steps on the foot of Laura Mason. They call him Cupcake, but he's no featherweight. Wise marking, but can't stop the disc from Underhill, making its way back to Lloyd in the middle of the field. Steadily making their way through this Australian zone.
Yes, indeed, that's a smart move, putting that huge wingspan on the mark on this game, and that's really putting pressure on this Canadian handler set.
Tim Sang at the back. Big bid from Tullett. Again, that defensive pressure from the 85 shirt. Not able to get a block that time, but they'll know he's there. They may feel the pressure. Not collapsing on the zone. Canadians allowed to run into the middle of it, get a short forward pass. It's excellent patient offense. Lloyd pointing at the end zone. He's got Sang and Rockcliffe available, and cutting through the middle is Brendan Wong to Rockcliffe now. Far side is Mason. Lachlan Wise again spreads those big arms, trying to prevent the swing pass to return the disc to the middle of the field. Tim Sang once more for Canada. The tension building. How many more passes are Canadians going to need to make? They're not making much progress upfield. Possession important in this early stages. They do not want to give the Aussies a disc. They do want to give them a chance to get that break back. They have been clean on offense so far, not a single turnover. Shot into the end zone from Lloyd. Finds the ever-present Catherine Hui, lurking deep, pulling players out. Cannot be ignored, ever a threat.
Yes, indeed. Such huge separation again from Hui. How does she do it? But excellent footwork there to keep herself in, closing in on that sideline over there.
Against this Australian zone, she's employing a different set of her skills than she might do if they were marking up one-to-one, but she's deadly in those circumstances as well, has all the throws and incredibly athletic ability, but also a really great brain for the sport of ultimate. Knows how to pull players out of spaces, knows how to use her fakes to really get the defence to open up. See the distinctive haircut of Rachel Mowens, 42 shirt.
Yes, indeed, and I spied her, I believe her younger sister, in the crowd earlier. Julie Mowens, who plays over in the UK scene. Player for the top women's team, Iceni. So clearly ultimate strong in that family, as it is in many for these players.
A disc from Hibbert. Second pull from Hibbert that's landed out of bounds. Aussies using their women to start this one. Distinctive tall figure of Alex Prentice in the 9 shirt and with the disc in her hand at the moment. Kat Phillips. Canadians throw a zone this time. Underhill darting, trying to stop that disc. Over the top from Barr into masses of space, really opening up the zone. Good advance from the Australian team. Blakely. Oh, that is beautiful. Opens up the bag of tricks, breaks out the scuba, and across to Rob Andrews.
Yes, indeed, and that level of throwing, I'm not even sure that's coming out of the box of tricks. That's well within the work bag of this Australian team, that throw. Just a lovely over the top, into the space, making excellent use of the break side there.
If you hear us talk about the break side and the open side, common strategy that you'll see all the teams employ is to try and force, when you're marking, we're trying to force the player to throw to just one side of the field. And then the defensive structure will try and prevent the players from running into that same side of the field.
Indeed, they will try and meet the disc first on the open side and prevent it from ever being thrown to the break side. But just, yeah, a little bit of terminology there for you. Those of you who are new to this sport, hopefully you'll enjoy what you see here and it will give you a taste to explore more in the future.
Disc landing in the end zone. Mowens picks up, quick first shot. Only one break in it at the moment. Australian defence have been slowing the Canadians. Oh, a little slip. Nerves, perhaps. Oh, and that time, the shot from Sang is a little bit rapid.
Yeah, it's asking a lot from the receiver there, throwing it behind the back. Valiant effort to try and come down with that one, but very, very tricky to do. Oh, my goodness, Catherine Hui! What a hand block!
Getting the disc back, so vital. They do not want to give away the advantage they have established in this game. That one break, the difference. That's the first turnover for this Canadian offensive line. Mowens and Lloyd combining into the end zone. Wong creating space, cutting hard, getting it.
Yeah, just lovely, easy play there to reel that one in from the Canadian side. After that miscued throw earlier on, Catherine Hui coming up with the hand block to bring it right back into possession for this Canadian team for the offensive hold. They will be really pleased to have got that one back.
Wong, 35 years old, plays his ultimate in Vancouver. first appeared on the world scene in 2008, the mixed division. He's got multiple Canadian Ultimate Championships to his name.
Indeed, including a gold medal at the 2008 World Championships on a mixed Canada team. So exactly the same division he is currently playing in now. But a lot of these players on both sides of the field more used to the single sport divisions, so single gender divisions even, of the open and women's teams. But lovely to see these players coming together with such excellent cohesion. They really have put in the time to develop those connections.
You see the bend and flex from Hibbert as he cranks up that arm. Oh, the run down there from Andrew Carroll, almost stopping the first pass. Well, the second pass from Phillips back to Prentice. Phillips, again, accelerating through the cup. Hammer, one of the overhead throws that we'll see these players use. Big disc, downfield, going to be players underneath it. Powell comes out of nowhere and takes it. The turnover is for Canada. Huge opportunity for them to take a 3-point margin again. Jeff Powell with the huge bid. The disc from the Australians hanging in the air too long. Guillaume Thomas. Phillips, arms darting, trying to prevent the pressure. Powell dives to the floor as he throws across to Hibbert. Hibbert down the line into the end zone. Andrew Carroll, 3 points the margin. Canada driving this game to half.
Yes, the 35-year-old Hibbert there putting out an absolute beauty of a disc into space for Carroll. What a throw that is. A little bit of a slip on the pivot as well, but look how smooth that flight is as he puts that one in for another break of score for this Canadian team. Absolutely scintillating stuff. So
difficult to stop Hibbert. The Hibbert pivot. He's such a tall athlete. You stand next to him, 6'6".
Yes, indeed. The fan of sewing, I believe, coming out of the Furious George team, one of the big-name Canadian Open teams. Having been playing the game for such a long time now. He's been playing since 1998. So true veteran of the sport, if ever there was.
That's the same year I started playing, 98.
Oh, well, you too, Tom, are a true veteran.
Back in the day. So many of these players introduced to the sport at university and college. We're now starting to see a growth of ultimate in the junior divisions.
Yes, we'll be seeing some excellent junior players in the gold medal matchup. Colombia having a very, very young roster indeed. We will try and get an average age for you perhaps before that match, but certainly some teenagers, the very future of ultimate, already at this elite level.
A half-time here in the bronze medal match of the World Games mixed ultimate flying disc competition. Canada lead it 7-4. They've had one turnover as a team.
Indeed they have. Both teams looking pretty clean. The Aussies not quite able to match the clinical play of the Canadian. As look at that, Hui going up for that grab. Lovely stuff. But certainly the game clock has not advanced very, very far at all. Both teams making short work of this game.
Yeah, only 4 turnovers in the entire game. Australian offensive line turned over twice. The defensive line have turned over once. Canadian offensive line have turned over once, but did get it back to score. So they got 100% conversion at the moment. The D-line have got 100% conversion at the moment. Every time they've had the disc, they've scored the point. And really that is a mark of the high level of the sport. We're seeing moving the disc quickly, aggressive throws, fast cutting, but completely safe hands. See Brendan Wong right into the breadbasket.
Indeed, just galloping into the end zone there. And credit to the turnovers. I mean, it's not even necessarily coming from There are probably, I think, 2 of them were perhaps unforced, just miscues, but great defensive work. That hand block from Hui earlier, and the absolutely dominant Sky from Powell going up against number 23, Peter Blakely. Both players going up very, very early, very strong, but Powell just ripping it out of the Sky. What a monster.
Yeah, he has been a big player on defence. You see the Blakely scuba to Andrews. We had a great chance to see Morgan Hibbert's pulling technique there in slow motion. Uses the entire body. There's the one Canadian turnover there. Mason not able to connect with that disc, twisting her body to try and see behind her and catch at the same time.
Yeah, she's very good, but I'm not sure anyone's really that good to reliably make that catch behind your back, with your neck twisted round. It's a very difficult ask.
One of the key things about this sport, once you have the disc in your hand, you can't move. You are completely reliant on the rest of your team. You cannot score a point on your own in Ultimate. It's the ultimate team sport. Let's have a look at Hibbert again. Cranks the arm, generating the power through the upper body. The core strength of the big Canadian driving the disc through the sky. Phillips available. Disc finds her. Phillips running across again there. And sends the disc downfield. Powell chasing after it. Just shy of the end zone. Aussies with a bit more work to do yet. Fast cuts. They're going to have to find a reset soon. And there's Phillips with that space and time. Back to Andrews now. They've managed to make good progress downfield. Slipping, Evans. Just taking that disc high above Whitehead. Phillips still in possession. Finds Andrews again. Great cut from Andrews down the line and into the end zone. Rosie Dawson showing the explosive turn of speed for the score for Australia.
Yes, indeed. Dawson getting another stat on the board in this bronze medal matchup. Excellent separation. Really, really clinical stuff, but absolutely fantastic defense there from Terry Whitehead with the number 0 shirt against Kat Phillips. I mean, good grief.
Dawson racking up a lot of scores. She's had 2 in this game, so that's 8 scores for the tournament so far. Just the 1 assist. She understands her role on the side as a deep threat.
Yes, indeed, and watching her in that very role, you can see why she stays exactly where she's meant to be.
Catherine Hui.
Big job. Oh, sorry. Big job for this Australian defensive line now. They will want to take a breaker score against the Canadians now to really bring it back within pinching reach.
So just 2 breaks, the difference. Pressure from the Aussie defence. Let's see if they can get the disc off this Canadian offensive line. Slip of the feet as Wong tries to adjust to attack that disc. But from the knees, he still collects. Rockcliffe. Stetner come to mark. And they've transitioned out of the zone and into a one-on-one. Mason cutting for the reset. Down the line, though, is Wong. Marked by Phillips. This is one of the Australian strategies. They mark the nearest player, not necessarily a gender markup. So some of the Canadian men are being marked by women at the moment, and vice versa.
Indeed, but all of the players on this field very much able to hang tough with a mismatched gender. Definitely not mismatched in skill.
Wong dabbing the feet down inside the line for another point, another hold.
Yeah, just hopping that one in. Great awareness of the where he is on the field.
First point of contact is what matters.
Sometimes can be a risky move to jump it in like that, though. more times than I'd like to have seen. You see the disc slip out of the grasp of the player as they try and get that score. A little bit of end zone eyes. Always better to retain possession and have another shot. But the Aussies really squeezing the Canadian offense there, making them work it down those sidelines with such small channels. But Canada just with the class to be able to work within those boundaries and punch it in for the score.
Hibbert back to provide us with another demonstration of his power with the pull. Whitehead, Mowens, Powell out there as well. Canadian defensive line come down. Prentice starts for Australia and straight away throws it into traffic. Seb Barr looking to take the grab ahead of the two Canadian defenders. And it's a strip that's been called, uncontested by the Canadians. Self-refereeing the sport, there's no officiating going on. The players do all of that themselves. The rules are constructed in such a way that disagreement can happen and there's still an outcome. A pick has been called further upfield. A defensive player obstructed in their run. Calls the pick.
Yeah, lovely to see from this Canadian team. Really intelligent defense down the field. Lots of communication and some little clogs in the lane just to try and close off this Australian offense.
Not just using the legs, but using the brains as well. The float disc across to Barr. Continues with the swing down to Phillips. Phillips throws the big fake. Goes to Blakely and Barr. They continue the movement. Switching again, Carroll and Hibbert. But even Cat Phillips can't reach that disc, despite her efforts.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate error. The Aussie offense looking really quite nice up until that really quite astonishing overthrow. As you say, Cat Phillips, if anyone's going to bring it down, it would be her.
She's been a superstar this tournament. Everybody knew she would be before she arrived, but she's lived up to expectations. Her performances in this division, leading the stats for Australia. But Canada now, dropping it into the end zone. Carroll to Terry Whitehead. Score for Canada.
No, absolutely great stuff from the Canadians there. I think Hibbert might even have put a break through the legs there. It looked almost like from our view here in the booth. But really great stuff. Whitehead completely just unmarked, having turned on immediately to offense and just streaking deep for that score. What lovely stuff. Both players with huge smiles on their face. Exactly what you want to see.
And you can see Andrew Carroll pointing back to Jesse Grignon-Thomas, who provided the big gainer, the hockey assist, all the yards gained. Carroll and Whitehead with the smallest of passes to complete the work she started.
Indeed, standing on the shoulders of the teammates, doing all that work and then just making it so nice and low pressure once you get to that crucial point of the pitch.
Jeff Powell with a 12 shirt. Lachlan Wise, his wavy hair awaits, hand in the air, ready to receive. Canada with a 4-point margin, dominating this bronze medal match as they inch closer. It's a game to 13. We will not trouble the time clock at the rate we're going. An 80-minute game, if it gets to that. But if a team reaches 13 points first, then they take the game, and at this end of the weekend, they will take the bronze medal. Colombia and USA in the gold medal match to come.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. We said at the beginning of this match, we weren't really sure that Canada had hit their true highest level of ultimate earlier on, but really bringing it out of the bag now.
High grab from Phillips. Tullett was on his way, but slipped. Wise managing to get back. Huge bid through the mud from Whitehead, trying to prevent the disc from getting to Phillips. Ashcroft to Tullett, keeping it alive. You see how slippery the surface is. Big disc from Tullett across the other side of the end zone. Catch from Ashcroft. Takes the slap of Seb Barr. But they've been pushed hard by the Canadians.
Yes, indeed, and we see, again, that excellent matchup between Cat Phillips and Whitehead just dominating.
Mark Lloyd was running in hard to try and get the disc. Hands raised, but Ashcroft never took his eyes off the disc, collects with two hands high.
Indeed, and the Australians now calling a timeout to just collect their heads, reflect on that point and see if they can come out now with their T-line and try and do something to stop this, frankly, quite flawless Canadian ultimate.
Still, this game of the highest quality. Only 5 turnovers. 1 for the Canadian offensive line, but they got the disc back. The Aussie offensive line have had 3 turnovers, the defensive line just the 1. And that's the difference here in the World Games bronze medal match. The ultimate mixed flying disc division turning up some incredible plays. Some wonderful stories. The Colombians shaking things right up earlier in the weekend, beating the USA and then beating Canada to guarantee themselves a place in that gold medal match. Big disc through the sky. Catherine Hui takes it, floats it out ahead, but just too far. Ahead of Brendan Wong. Brendan Wong not able to get to that one, sliding across the turf in desperate effort. Look at the form from Hui. Sarah Wentworth bidding hard and providing the pressure for Australia. Wong, oh, so close. Careering across the grass.
Well, a bit of a miscue there, I think, from Hui. That wasn't the nicest disc for Wong to try and collect, and so close to that being out there anyway.
Only the second time the Australian defensive line have had the disc in their hands. Can they score this one? Lachlan Wise looks forward. Tullett cutting for the reset. Wise available again. And a timeout called by the Australians.
Yeah, that'll be 2 timeout calls in a row. Unsure as to what necessarily has prompted that one, but nothing wrong with taking a little break.
Well, they need to capitalise on the fact that they've got possession. The Canadian offensive line making so few mistakes. When they do have the disc in hand, the Australians have got to score.
Yes, indeed. If you give the Canadians the disc, they are looking completely, just absolutely lethal in this game. First real unforced error we've seen from Hui thus far on our coverage that we've been certainly talking about, Tom. But sometimes that does happen on the world stage. A little bit of hot-headedness, but definitely doesn't detract from the fact that she's been an all-round excellent player at this tournament.
Both these teams using the same strategy to choose their players, originally selecting 10 men and 10 women to form a training squad of 20 players. The Australians actually hosted a test match weekend against the team from Japan, the World Games team from Japan, travelling across to Australia for the first ever World Flying Disc Federation approved test match, or test match series. The Australians beating Japan in those games. And Canadians took their training squad of 20 across the TEP. Big shot downfield, reaching up. Oh, it's a great grab, high from Ashcroft. And a little dish is all that's required to Rebecca Berreton.
Yeah, lovely stuff there. Puts it up, and just watch these two go up. Yeah, they're 2 hands above their head there. Really excellent work of Ashcroft, and Brereton using that speed to get open in the end zone for her teammate. Brereton coming off the back of having been on the All-Star Tour in the North American ultimate scene, a team of up-and-coming young female players, a part of which Brereton very much is. Imposing form, such a long limbs, able to use those to great effect in many situations in these games.
So Australia getting one of those breaks back. That timeout called right at the correct moment. Chance to set something up, have a bit of a think, get your mental game in check.
Yes, indeed. And we haven't really seen many big bids on the defence from Tullett yet this game. Certainly not compared to this morning where he had an absolute stormer. So see what these Aussies can now bring in this point, see if they can get that disc off Canada.
The Canadians are poaching a little bit off there. Certainly on the Canadian women poaching off a little bit. It's going to leave some of the Australian women free. If they can hit those shots, they may have a bit more success. But right now Canada have got it with Rachel Mowens. Back to Lloyd. Lloyd cutting, really fast acceleration to that down the line shot. Powell cuts down the line now. Hammer, exposed space on the far side of the field. And Kevin Underhill catches the point.
Yeah, no, the Aussies really cruising that Canadian offense, channeling down that far sideline, making them work again through such a tight channel over and over. But look at that throw, using the space on the diagonally opposite side of the pitch, hitting Underhill with such ease. Like, just that quality of that hammer, goodness gracious me.
Yeah, the standard throws, the backhand and the forehand, generally travelling at defender height for most of their journey. The overheads go up into the sky and can clear the defence. A little bit of a higher risk pass, but when you've got players like Mark Lloyd sending that disc across the field.
Well, I mean, not just Lloyd, there was a trio of red shirts with meters away from all of their defenders. So a plethora of options to pick from with that excellent hammer throw.
The Aussies with a variety of defensive strategies. That one-on-one hard force as we see the Canadians bring out a zone, not marking a player each. Instead, they're marking spaces. Australia have it with Seb Barr. Now to Blakely, now to Phillips. Phillips continues the pass back to Blakely.
Yeah, seeing the Canadians now transition into one-on-one man marking.
Across to Dignam. Dignam sees the opportunity, finds the gap, pokes it into Rosie Dawson.
Yes, indeed. No, making very effective work through that zone there. Canada perhaps trying to change up their defence and catch the Aussies off guard, but they made tasty work of that zone. Really using it once they got past that initial, what's called the cup there, the close defenders around the disc. Once they got it through, really using that momentum to just get it straight to that end zone, forcing the Canadians to drop back into the one-on-one man defence. Giving themselves the opportunity to unleash Rosie May Dawson once again in that end zone. So effective for this Australian team.
A 28-year-old, started playing in 2007, Dawson. She once cycled across coast to coast from one side of Scotland to the other on a mountain bike.
Indeed, so clearly a very mentally strong individual. Any kind of distance cycling, especially if you're solo without any kind of support team or system. Having done that myself, I can say it's not an easy ask.
Spent time in Scotland as a youngster. Most of her time now in Adelaide. Canada with the disc now.
Choosing not to hit this very streaking deep Catherine Wee there.
Tim Sang sends it. Oh, huge separation, big pressure from Tullett, but Wong watched it into his hands the whole way.
Yeah, excellent takedown there. Tullett coming in like an absolute bullet. Let's watch that one again.
Tim Sang, fast rising star. And great awareness from Tullett, avoiding the collision with Wong.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you want to see. So close to the disc, but managing to completely avoid colliding into number 89 there, Brendan Wong.
Canada, 2 points away from the bronze medal. They've trained so hard and for so long. Sacrifices made, weekends at training camps, and hours of personal strength and conditioning training. The team separated across the great expanses of Canada.
Indeed, and we're now seeing them here, these teams having played each other in the round-robin format of this World Games tournament for the flying disc division. The previous matchup ended up with a 4-point cushion for the Canadians, currently ahead by 3. So the Aussies will be looking certainly to try and get on that comeback train now.
Middle of the field. Phillips, superstar Australian. Fast disc from her required. The gap's closing quickly in front of her. Oh, that's a beautiful low release disc from Blakely, one of the captains. Andrews, a pick called.
Indeed, not able to chase after his man there by virtue of bumping into the gentleman with the disc there, Hibbert.
Hibbert on the trail of Seb Barr. Rob Andrews, tall 22-year-old, passes forward for Barr and then disappears into the end zone himself. Disc comes short. Barr goes deep. Phillips cuts down the line, gets the disc, 2 hands. Prentice cuts forward. Oh, Phillips has found something magical. Barr was exposed on the far side of the field. No hesitation from Phillips. The hammer.
Yes, indeed, that Phillips taking a play out of, I believe it was the Underhill playbook earlier with the cross-pitch hammers into the end zone to the far into the break side. Really lovely visionary work there from her.
They're keeping in touch, the Australians. The defensive pressure against the Colombians this morning was a sight to behold. They got turnovers almost at will. But this Canadian team have proved a completely different challenge. Despite a variety of different defensive looks, they've had very few turnovers, very few opportunities.
Yes, indeed, and it's nice to see these two teams with, as I said earlier, a little bit of excellent physical matchups, pretty even on that front, quite similar like play style, and just the Canadians just managing to execute it that little bit better than the Aussies here.
The Australian defensive line have only had the disc in their hands twice. On one of those occasions, the Canadians managed to get it back. And that really has been the story of this game. Clinical offense from Canada. Despite intense Australian defensive pressure, they have been clean as the deep disc goes up. Maybe a call on the play, but it goes down into the hands of Brendan Wong.
What a heads-up play there from Wong. What a teammate backing up Lloyd as he goes up big and gets a little bit of a knock there. But power position ultimate from Underhill up that sideline. Trust and faith, and then just Wong. Excellent mental finesse there to keep that one alive for the score.
Mark Lloyd completely knocked off his feet by Mark Evans. Looking at the disc, Evans jumped into the back of Lloyd, who was still planted on the ground, awaiting to make his jump.
Yes, indeed. Mark Lloyd, who we definitely have to credit for excellent bodily control when going up and making those bids. In yesterday's play, there was a particularly intense moment in the Colombian sudden death last point where, taking on one of the younger players on the Colombian women's side of things, an excellent, hotly contested grab for the final point, and Lloyd really managing to go in, make that bid, put the effort in, and both players getting the disc. Cardenas managed to rip it out of his hands, but didn't touch a hair on her head. Just such control, exactly what you want to see at the top mixed level. So credit to Mark Lloyd, big fan of your work.
Underhill on the sideline, watches as that disc dives to the floor. If the disc doesn't land inside the field, the players can bring it to what we call the brick mark, the cross in the middle of the field.
Indeed, and the crowd's starting to get pumped up now in the latter stages of this game, with Canada just 1 point away from that bronze medal.
Blakely down the field, chasing it hard. Oh, and a fumble in the end zone. Michaela Dignam, hands on her head in frustration. The disc was there for her.
And I'm matching her right there. What a shame. Such a great run. Terrible shame there. She'll be so disappointed with that, but just one of those things. With a clap of doom.
Canada calling the timeout. They are so close to this bronze medal, they can smell it. They are only needing 1 point. It's a game to 13. All they need to do with the disc in their hand is work it up the 64 metres from one end zone line to the other, put it into the end zone and take away the bronze medal back to Canada.
Yes, indeed, and they've been doing that all too effectively throughout this game. So sad not to see that score from the Aussie team. Just one of those things, but I mean, heck, there's plenty of quality on the defense from this Aussie side, and they will now be talking and having those discussions, getting each other fired up, getting that determination to come out of this timeout hard, plenty of fire in the belly, see if they can generate a turn and get that disc back to keep this game alive and their medal hopes alive.
Not out of it yet, and we have seen margins like this closed up.
I've got to say, though, I back this Canadian offence.
I also back this
all
Canadian
day
offense.
long. Moen's on the disc now with that beautiful haircut.
And the D-line for Canada have got turns where the Australians have struggled. And the stats tell their own story. Canadian D-line getting 3 blocks. Aussie D-line getting 2.
Yeah, great upset up there with the very easy reset from the handler just behind.
We're deep in the end zone. Callahan territory. Canada breaking out of it now. Fast running. Big physical mark from the Australians. Alex Prentice making contact with Whitehead. Whitehead calling the foul.
Yes, and we've seen Whitehead taking on very big matchups in this game, finding probably a very good adversarial matchup again against Prentice. Both very high-quality players.
Prentice, a late call-up into this Aussie line as Canada... Oh, and they've given the disc back to the Australians. They are not out of this yet. Seb Barr looking for options forward. Canadian pressure on Phillips.
but they still have it, and a call on the play. Yeah, fantastic heads up there from Sebastian Barr, getting that little poachy pick-off to generate that turnover, get the disc back and keep this one alive potentially for the Australians. But we will see number 27, Jessie Green or Thomas, coming off the pitch there. Hope she's okay.
Now, big bid on Phillips. She went to ground hard. The game advisors spotting her on the floor and signalling the stoppage. The hands behind the head hand signal means there's been an injury on the field. Andrews. High grab required from Blakely. Does so. Barr and Blakely moving the disc. It's into the end zone. Caught this time. No mistake, second time of asking from Michaela Dignam.
Oh, what a throw that was. Michaela Dignam with her arms in the air, making very sure she was seen over there. And just what a tasty scuba that is. Arcing throw. Really, both teams making great use of these overheads to just blast through such a tight defense. I can't say enough good things about that. That was exciting to see.
Blakely's second scuba of the match, the Australian captain, one of the two Australian captains alongside Sarah Wentworth.
Indeed, and it's nice to see Michaela Dignam able to come up with that score, having had such a disappointing drop earlier on with all that space. So she will be very, very pleased to have reeled that one in the end for this team, bringing it now to 12-10 with the Aussies trailing, but still could easily see if Aussies can bring it to the table. Who knows?
Well, Canada will be coming out on offense for the bronze medal. Tom Tullett. Powerful body of Tullett sends that disc down the field, letting it bounce before catching it. Vertical stack from Canada, splits. Pressure from Tullett, not enough. Sang, still with the disc in hand. Bronze medal at the asking as the deep disc from Sang. There's going to be Australian pressure underneath this. And who else but Kat Phillips denying Catherine Hui, and a conversation between the two of them about where the contact was made.
Yeah, difficult in that situation. 2-on-1 with Hui trying to get it over the for two bodies. Is always a tricky one to have and a tricky one to go without contact. But look at Phillips there, getting their hand in front. Excellent positioning. A little bit of a Hui sandwich, but we'll wait for the players to discuss this one.
Oh, it's in Phillips' hand. Any call that had been made has been retracted. Phillips finds the inside line to Lachlan Wise, just keeping it alive. Tullett with it now for Australia. This game is far from over right now. High grab from Ashcroft, back to Tullett on the brick mark. Over the top. Oh, and it's a brilliant interception from Mark Lloyd. Not spotted by the Australians. They pass into the traffic. And now the Canadians have it back. End of this bronze medal match is ever so tight.
Yeah, both teams looking really fired up, but a little bit too much fire there from the Aussies, not spotting the Canadian sneaky defender in that little bit of stumble.
Lloyd. The Toronto man sends it inside, not seen by Rachel Mowins. Big bid. Oh, it just dives across the top of the disc. Tim Sang not able to get his fingertips under it. Aussies with another opportunity to get one back against Canada, to put off the Canadian effort towards the bronze medal. It seemed so sure.
Yeah, no, been going to every length there, Tim Sang, to try and reel that one in and take this bronze medal match, but just not able to come up with the goods on a very, very, very adventurous throw. Well, I say adventurous. Sang's a great receiver, but just a little bit too much spice, a little bit too much ping on it.
And he's taken an injury sub as well. Clearly hurt his shoulder as he went down there. Tim Sang, stats leader coming into this game, alongside Catherine Hui.
Yeah, a little bit of poaching in the open lane there from Moens.
That's impressive work from Moens, forcing that big disc around to Phillips on the far side of the field. Lachlan Wise. Phillips being left on her own back there. Great matchup, this, Phillips versus Hui. Two of the best female players in the world.
Well, easy to say that at this world stage. Pretty much all the ladies on this pitch are the best players in the world, really.
Wentworth passes to Tullett. Tullett again looking for Phillips on the far side. Prentice to Tullett. Two of the late additions to this Aussie lineup combining. Across to Sarah Wentworth. The female captain sends it back to Tullett again. Being patient now. Wentworth with it again. Oh, outstretched fingertips cannot prevent the disc from arriving safely in the hands of Ashcroft. Once more, Tullett has it. Kat Phillips looking a little weary out there. She's run so hard all week. And still they have the disc, though. The Aussies looking to close the gap to 1.
Yeah, managing to look really patient here as they try and gallop towards this end zone. And another excellent hammer. And oh, my goodness.
Wise collects in the end zone for Australian. They are back within 1.
Indeed, the number 24, sorry, the 24-year-old number 1 even reeling in that hammer, and Australia, well, bringing it to 12-11. One more line from that D-line, and we could be looking at a sudden death match in this bronze medal match.
Universe point would give us the most exciting finish to this bronze medal match. Canadians digging deep into the mental strength. They came out only a few minutes ago with their disc in their hands, looking to take the bronze medal. They've seen Australia take it off them. They've seen intense pressure give it to them back, only for it to be turned over in the end zone again, and then the Australians score it to bring it back within 1.
No, definitely. The defensive look there from Canada, poaching in the open lanes and leaving the ladies, the Australian ladies, just, I mean, Kat Phillips, leaving her completely open in the sort of, you know, a negative pass, yes, but it's a negative pass to one of the strongest players on that team. Canada, you've got to work harder. You need to go out and you need to take this game. Australia are not going to give it to you. They are going to give you a fight to the very bitter end of this match.
Positivity will be needed from both these teams. Tom Tullett marking low. Big bid coming, and a big bid gets the block against Hibbert. Rob Andrews getting horizontal, the two tall men. And a foul call from Hibbert, uncontested by Andrews. Amazing example of spirited play.
Yeah, you can't fault Andrews for going in for that bid against Hibbert. Got to go for those, especially in this tight game scenario, and great to see the foul completely uncontested.
Hui sends it. Who's going to be underneath that one? Powell reads it, but it's an error. Powell not able to collect ahead of Peter Blakely, but he's been caught on the head as Blakely tried to get that disc away from him.
Yeah, everything now becoming a real battle in this game. Powell going over the top, I believe, in that matchup. Got the height, but just, I think manages to almost smash himself on the shoulders of number 23 there.
It looked like
Peter Blakely.
Looked like Powell had got the disc in his hand, and as he landed, Blakely's head and shoulder, the disc got caught between Blakely's head and shoulder, and as Powell fell to the floor, Blakely wasn't trying to rip it out of his hands, but the disc came out of his hands because of that. The discussion on the field is going to be a tense one.
Indeed, in this late game stage in a bronze medal match, kind of think maybe that one will end up being going back with both players wanting to stand their ground, but I'm sure they'll come up to a good decision on the pitch. Both players with plenty of experience in these tight situations.
So a strip is when the defensive player knocks the disc out of the hand. Now, that didn't happen. Blakely, there was no intent there. The disc was pulled out of the hand by Powell's action of falling to the ground.
Oh, and the crowd not a fan of that decision, but a contested foul puts it back to the last part of neutral play where there was no advantage to either team. So we will get the eraser out. Imagine that play didn't happen, and we will have the disc back with Catherine Hui.
It was Hui's shot into the tightly guarded Powell that caused that situation. Powell taking an injury sub off the field. Hui directing traffic. Back to Mason. Still with the disc in hand, the Canadians looking at the bronze medal. Australia, big pressure from Phillips. Cannot stop the disc into the end zone, fast cutting the back of the end zone. Underhill dabs it down, takes it and waves it. Signals to the opposition, the crowd wait. And it's a goal for Canada. They have taken the bronze medal in the tightest of situations. Incredible game from Australia, pushing them all the way. But in the end, the clinical offense all the way through this match.
Yeah, never in doubt there. Underhill using excellent footwork, but what a throw. So such a fantastic game in this bronze medal match. Australia really fighting back from a deficit. But it's been absolutely fantastic action here in this bronze medal fixture. Both teams really hard, well-deserved win from Canada, but quality ultimate all-round, and we are delighted to have seen that match.
Canada take home the bronze medal.
They never gave up. They're going to hold their heads up high for a fantastic show we've had today.